This is Showtime, a podcast about the people behind the curtain and the stories that shape them. I'm Andrew G, and each week I sit down with creatives, leaders and risk takers from the theatre world and beyond. We talk about what they do, why they do it, and what it really takes to keep showing up. Louisa Mignone has built a rich career across theatre and screen, from acclaimed productions with Malthouse and the State Theatre Company of South Australia to standout roles with Wentworth, Rake and Scrublands. She now appears in Melbourne Theatre Company's bold new staging of Rebecca. Welcome to Showtime, Louisa Mignone.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What sparked your love of performing?
I think it's probably a default from growing up in a family of 5 kids.
Where were you in that order of 5?
I'm 4th out of 5, so I think it's probably, literally just trying to get attention. We were 5 of us under 7 years, so you had to make noise to be heard. So maybe from there, and also we just amused ourselves, obviously, given my age, this is pre-technology, so we just made plays together. My sisters bossed me around. So we sort of invented worlds. Our grandparents had a big cupboard which was full of dress-up clothes, or I think just their clothes growing up. We just did that. We just did that to amuse ourselves. We just made plays, and Dad had a big beta tape camera, and a Super 8 and a few other things.
The one on the shoulder thing?
Big setup thing, and I think he used to put it on a tripod. And he used to be a photographer to pay his way through med school in the 70s. So he sort of he loves cameras. That's his hobby. So he has a full range of cameras and things. And so we just, if it was a rainy day, we'd be inside making things or outside playing. But it was just it was a world of play. With 5 siblings, you've got to got a lot to do.
That's incredible. And how did you go from that to being on stage and screen?
I think, again, probably default. I went to uni not really knowing. I was pretty young when I graduated from school at 17, and then I went thinking I wanted to do some arts, and cinematography really interested me, and I knew that was only offered at Flinders Uni in Adelaide. And then from there I sort of discovered there was a drama centre. I didn't know there was a drama school there, and just sort of auditioned, and then one thing led to another, and then all of a sudden you're in the drama school, and then you're loving it, and you've got a great group around you, and it just kept going. And then I formed a theatre company with other women from that year, and that kept generating work, and you just kind of keep going. And I would move, as soon as I graduated, I got an agent in Sydney, sort of. That just was the decider for me to go to Sydney and do screen work. I kind of Adelaide and South Australia is rich in creation and theatre and has great film and TV as well, especially now. But I think back then it was a bit more like you have to move into state to do the other things, and then you might come back. And I think I was always back and forward doing different jobs.
How has your idea of performing changed since those early days?
I mean, the idea of the whole career, it's really hard. I mean, you think, I knew it was going to be tough, but it's really tough. It's a tough industry. And it's, you've got to really, I think there's a kind of stubbornness, and to stay in the game for the longevity of it, you kind of just have to keep pushing and pushing. Idea of performance-wise, I think, not a crazy amount has changed. I think we maybe on stage we're expecting more screen performances. I think that's been the most recent thing in my mind. I feel like we're stage is sort of matching screen in some ways in terms of those really visceral, deep, natural performances, which is sort of a hard thing to sustain 8 shows a week for multiple weeks. That's probably I'm trying to think. But otherwise, ideas in terms of performance. I'm not sure what else has changed, but for the industry, you just got to keep going.
And when you say it's tough, is it getting the work that's tough, or is it doing the work that's tough, or is it a bit of everything, or is it something else?
A bit of everything. I think if we told people what we get paid some of the times and what our annual income is as performers and creators, most people would fall over. It's tough. It's tough. It's always been tough in the arts, but I think we've had more cuts. We've had more audiences have completely changed since COVID. The patterns have changed. People aren't booking ahead, less subscribers. I think people aren't willing to book that far ahead, so it's a lot of last minute things. I think I think we've always had an issue with that in this country. you'll see the sports, audiences versus theatre audiences. It's always tough to get people into shows. And then I think and then Screen has also in the last couple of years had taken a really big hit. I think it's from COVID, but it's also the way streamers have changed things that are coming down from the US. And the flow-on effect of global change has affected how we make work here. And I think the negative of that is that people tend to then create safer work because they're scared to risk take, because if you risk take and then you fail on your audiences, their numbers and money, and then so it's a flow-on effect, and that's hard when you see the risk and the art start to take a hit.
And of course, with the cost of living being as high as it is now, it's a lot harder for people who are buying tickets to justify paying money to come see shows.
100%. But then you look at what it takes to make the work and how many people, and because you want to make big, bold, beautiful work like this one. So you don't want to cut corners in making that work. You want to bring them a vibrant, beautiful, big, bold work. But then so the ticket prices, if the ticket prices reflected really how much work goes on, that would be much higher. But we need to find but even still, I mean, I don't know in big circles of friends how many people, it's mainly people who are in my industry that go and regularly see theatre. It's hard. It's kind of tough. And there's got to be, something's got to give soon, hopefully. Something's got to give.
And you've worked across theatre, film and television. Is there a medium that you feel most comfortable on?
They're so different to me, and I love both a lot. There's an intimacy and a kind of, I've used that word already, visceral. There's a really cool electric thing that happens with live work where you're getting an immediate feedback from your audience. So you can feel it in the moment. You can feel the breath. You can feel the energy and the charged space. So that's really exciting. And your performance has changed every day, every night. It will be something different. And the audience also informs that. So however they react and their feeling also informs how you might work that night. So that's really, really, I find that really electric and really thrilling. And adrenaline fueling, whereas Screen is so different. It's you get a few goes at something in the moment, or in Australia you might get 1 to 2 goes. In our TV world, works very fast, but it's you kind of refine, and it's a very intimate, it's much smaller performance. You don't have to hit the back of the theatre. You're just kind of going to the screen there. So it's more about listening and affecting the person that you're talking to. If you're in a scene with someone or yourself or your space around you, it's not about having this performance echo to a greater audience around you. Yeah, it's different. I love both. I really love both. And I love the challenges of both. The challenges are vast.
Do you feel that you've got more creative input on stage because it's you and your fellow performers, whereas when you're doing it for camera, there's a whole editing process that you're not involved with afterwards?
Yeah, so that's what so there's a saying that stage is an actor's medium and screen is a director's medium. So stage, once everyone leaves after opening night, that's for me, that's the funnest part. Like the lead up is great, but as soon as you're left alone with your fellow actors, or in some cases, I've done a one-person show, so with yourself and your operator, then it's yours to play with, and you get to play and feel that out and decide what, obviously within the limits of your direction you've been given, you can kind of play every night, whereas screen is you can do whatever you're doing, but it's up to the director and the editor and how that comes together. It's a different, it's their eye that's going to see it.
Louisa, how do you choose which roles you say yes to?
Look, I don't say no to much because it's the nature of trying to work. But I have said no. I do, as I've got older, I've definitely said no more, and that's empowering. I think it has to interest me. The story has to, it has to interest me and be telling a story that I feel connects to myself and the world around me. The stuff I don't really. And if I'm really if I'm not sure about something, maybe that's an interesting decision too. It's like, why don't I think I can do that? Maybe I should push myself, especially for screen roles where you get them and you go, I don't think I'm right for that. Then you go, oh, why do I think that? Maybe I should just give it a go and see how that lands. But there is some stuff where I just go, ooh, that's not for me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm usually interested in everything and anything. But yeah, there are some things where, some really silly or vulgar or I don't know, some things that you just go, that's not for me.
You've been a part of some pretty iconic Aussie TV productions, Rake, Wentworth, Scrublands. Is there a TV role that's pushed you most beyond your comfort zone?
Those ones are all pretty fine. I think there was one I did, Australian Gangster, that was pretty pretty hard to do because she was not only was it based on a real person, which is tricky, especially when you don't really have those people's it was a story based on a real life family and a criminal, and then it was kind of, then they made a show about it, a 2-part series, and I think that was hard and tricky because it was Italian Australian, and I had to lean into kind of parts of the cultural upbringing that I'd resisted growing up, accent, mannerisms, ways of being. And this isn't the real woman, this is what they'd written on the page. I think she was written on the page more subservient, but I kind of wanted to give her more of an edge, and that was good. But it's also, I think physically she was very different to me and wore a lot of very tight clothing, and that's not like it was. There were a lot of things that pushed my comfort zone in that role, but it was really exciting to do, and we had really lovely people around us and great directors that guided us there. And I think that was the most uncomfortable because it was playing kind of an icky part of myself that I didn't quite. It's not really me. And the feminist in me had to kind of shut up a little bit to allow this other person to play.
Is it a big responsibility to play a real person rather than a made-up character?
Huge. But this is very different because they didn't really have I don't think they had the permission or the explicit sometimes, which is bizarre. I don't know how they can get away with making some shows where you have like those underbellies and the fat toned, all the other ones, they kind of make shows about real life people and gangsters without their explicit permission. Therefore, you don't have their input. So I didn't have her input. Never knew her. So that's a huge responsibility and kind of scary. And that's when and now when we have social media and things, those people can find you and can kind of talk to you. And so that's why I went a bit underground around then, because I didn't really want the underground people chatting to me about the different roles. But it's a huge responsibility. But again, it wasn't, they have a way of writing these things where it's not explicitly the people. It's about the people, and it's not directly the situations. And the dialogue isn't verbatim. It's made up.
And you're working on Rebecca now with Melbourne Theatre Company. How'd you get involved with Rebecca?
I've worked with Melbourne Theatre Company last year on a show here, which was a lot of fun. And then I've sort of come in and out as a reader or as a performer just to help with developing stuff. They do a lot of developing and reading work. And so I just came in maybe a few months ago, I'm not sure, to just be a voice in the room and to read the script with them and get feedback about certain things that the director can and write, adapt it, and Louise can go away and kind of create the work, hear it in a room, hear actors, play with it, and then go away and adapt more and come back. That's how you kind of create work, is you have several workshops leading up to it. And in that workshop...
Because this is a new adaptation of an existing work, isn't it?
Yeah. A novel that was written in 1938 that's been extremely popular, I think, since its first publication. And then so I did that development, and then Annie Lou and I had a chat about things, and as is her wonderful way of nurturing other artists, sort of was invited to come into the room with this role. And I've made work before, but I've never kind of come in at this point as an assistant director. I've never directed explicitly or assistant directed a main theatre show like this. So it's really exciting. So I jumped at the opportunity. It was like to be on this side of the auditorium and watch it all take place.
And did you revisit the novel before you took on the role?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the novel's been. I think most of us in the room have a copy of the novel. The novel's been referred to a lot. The novel's excellent. I had listened to the audiobook. I read it. I've got several digital copies of it. Everyone's been absorbing. I've got a copy in my bag right now. That you still every now and then, even up to last week, I think all of us were still referencing things in it, and the actors all have their tabs for their characters and are searching through and mining for more material or backstory for themselves. Yeah, the novel's, it's a gorgeous novel.
What excites you most about the reimagination of Rebecca?
It's the idea that, well, it's kind of a scandalous novel in a way, because it's about a woman who actually hears about her current husband, killing his former wife, but still decides to go along with him and be complicit in that murder. So instead of hearing him say, "I killed Rebecca," she hears, "I never loved Rebecca," and so she makes this huge moral choice to be with him, which doesn't really end well. They end up in exile in this kind of loop of the cycle of an awful kind of existence. So that kind of drew me to it. I was like, that's wild. And so what's great about this production as well is that Annie Lou's and Marg and all the designers involved as well have this. It's just such a beautiful retelling on stage with these live characters, and you've got only 4 actors and playing multiple roles as well. And we follow the woman's journey more in this. So there's the woman character narrates the book, but in our telling as well, we're kind of held with the central figure, and we get to hear her inner thoughts a lot, and we get to go on this journey with her. And it's exciting because she's I mean, in the book, it's not quite a hero. It's someone who makes this choice where we go, as a modern audience, why would you make that choice? But also we live in a world where women are still, unfortunately, in these situations, these kind of DV situations or coercive control situations. And so it's a really modern text to me. So the idea to kind of the decision to put this on stage now, I think, is really smart and really, really thrilling. And all the elements when you come and see it, it's just kind of it's stunning as well. The way that they've made this is really, I think it's a really thrilling piece to see live. And I think people who like the book, people who are like, because it's become a cult classic, right? So people who like it will be excited by that. But I think also people who are new to the story like me will be fascinated by it as well.
To me, there are also quite a few layers to this work. And you know, there seems to be these themes of obsession and secrecy and power. That seems pretty relevant today.
Exactly. There's not, I mean, that's why, I mean, there's a reason why the book hasn't been out of print for 60, 80 years. It's desire as well, and identity. I think that's a huge part of it as well, is identity, who you are in relation to others and who you become and who you want to be. And this dualism, I think there's a really interesting mirroring of this. There's 2 women in this story. You know, there's the woman and then there's the dead woman, the ex-wife, and it's sort of a push and pull of who these people are and who this woman really was. And I think it's really sad as well. It's like we make choices in life and we do relive them. So it's about a woman kind of reliving and trying to make sense of her choices within this world and how and where that has got her and why. So I find that fascinating to watch on stage. I mean, you can read the book and it's that, but to see someone kind of live making these decisions and going back and forward and kind of examining every moment and going, where did I go wrong? And am I a reliable witness? What should I have done differently? I think we all do that constantly with decisions that we make in the world, and how our memory kind of haunts us.
When audiences come see Rebecca, what should they prepare themselves for?
I never prepare myself to watch things. I just like going in. So I don't even look at the program. Usually, I don't even prepare yourselves. I mean, I don't think if you haven't read the book, don't read the book. You might go read it later, and then that will become something that's really nice to do. As an afterthought. I think, I don't think there's any preparation. I think just come with an open mind and have a drink and enjoy yourself.
I'm chatting with Louisa Mignone about Rebecca, which is a limited season until the 5th of November at South Bank Theatre, the Sumner. For more information and to book tickets, visit mtc.com.au. Louisa, thank you so much for coming on for a chat. Chookers for your previews and the season ahead.
Thanks, Andrew. So nice talking to you.